Welcome back to the Art of Hobbiness. I'm Erin, joined by my co-host Tam.
I am your Tam.
You're my
and
Tam.
your co-host.
You are my Tam co-host. That's right.
Say it.
Just my Tam. We are so excited to be back again, and we have an interesting topic today, and we're talking about how hobbies can really heal you in different parts of your life, and we've discovered this firsthand, and specifically through our journey in motherhood, and so we'd like to dive in and just kind of talk about that and how that might help people in different parts of their lives.
Absolutely. Well, I think we can just first hit on how we ourselves personally decided to go into hobbies, right? We were kind of coming out of a transition phase, right? The matrescence, our motherhood, and moving into being who we are post motherhood, right?
Yeah.
We're still mothers, but we're starting to get more of our individuality back, right?
We're getting out of that. I feel like once you hit that age where they're, I don't know, my kids are still little, but I feel like I can tell it's getting easier. And I'm at 6 and 3. So I feel like once I get to 7 and 4, two more, probably another year or so, and they'll be a big game changer. But
Absolutely.
I can tell a big difference from a year ago how much time I have compared to now.
Absolutely. So. And I feel like when you start to come into that phase where you're starting to get more of your time back and more of your independence back, I don't know if you felt that. Well, I think I do know if you felt this, where you kind of you're like, so who am I now? Who is Erin? Who is Tam? I think my initial thoughts were, well, I must be the same person that I was prior to motherhood, right? So I must want to still do the same things that I did now, right?
However,
that's not the case at all.
It's not the case at all. And our children, we didn't really have hobbies or things we did for ourselves. We were very focused on work, which I think a lot of millennials can relate to. Focus on work and our families and our friends, but mostly work, I feel, and just doing the best we could at that. And then throwing children into that just really throws a wrench in, not a wrench, but it really just mixes. Curveball.
Yeah.
It just mixes up things. I feel like you start to reprioritize and you're like, wait a minute here. It's not all about work, right? And there's way more to life than that. Then you come out of that fog of the infant toddler phase and you're like, holy moly.
Exactly.
I need something more than just work and my kids, because I am going to drive myself crazy.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
But then you come out and you're, like I said, your priority, like you said, your priorities are different.
Yeah.
But there's also you're a new bare you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're this clean slate kind of a person, because I almost feel like there's it's like a chapter, right?
Yeah.
You almost turn the page, you're on a new chapter of you, and it's kind of a blank slate of you could really change.
Yeah, reinvent yourself.
Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for, Erin.
Yes.
Thank you. You have this opportunity to reinvent yourself, right? And I think it's a great time to do that, because I like you said, your goals are different. Your priorities are just different when you're coming out of that motherhood fog. And where do you start?
Yeah.
Where do you start to figure out who that person is or where that person wants to go? And so I think that's where hobbies come into play. Is I think you can use hobbies as a starting point to figure out who that person is and what that person wants.
Right.
Let me give an example.
Yeah.
So I thought that I was somebody who didn't really enjoy group type settings or want to be in shared spaces often. I thought I was more of an introvert than I really am.
Shocking.
Right? And so, I think when I first was trying to figure this all out on my own, I was doing it literally all on my own. I wasn't trying to pull in resources. I wasn't trying to look for things that got me out of the house. I wasn't trying to look for things that challenged me, right? I was really just trying to look for things that, I don't know, I guess I thought I wanted.
And I think that you were falling into the trap, and we both were, trying to still accommodate everybody else.
Yes.
Only trying to do things when it was convenient for everybody else, right?
Absolutely.
And that was our mistake. I felt like that was causing us to feel that failure as well, or feeling that resentment.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think I was falling short a lot, and so I was getting defeated a lot, and I was getting angry a lot,
Right.
and I was kind of holding it against my husband, who
you were
was
feeling resentment.
Oh yeah, because he seemed to naturally just have found himself and moved forward, right? But even in talking with him, it wasn't just as seamless as a switch for him either. You know, he had a bit of a transition, albeit very different, but there was still a part of him that had to find himself again after the fatherhood fog came off, right? And for him, he found healing through hobbies. And that's kind of where, in my personal journey, where I've kind of was like, that's what I want to try to do.
Absolutely.
Then. And so I feel that if you first sit down when you come out of that motherhood and you try to look for like, how can the hobbies heal me? Look for what it is that you're wanting to heal first, right? Are you wanting to feel more grounded? Are you wanting to feel more self-expression? Are you wanting to work on like community? Like, are you wanting to pull a community in to heal you? I think those are good starting points, because I think then you look for hobbies within that sector, right? Like if you're somebody who turns out to be me, who maybe needs more community for that healing after you're trying to figure out who you are, I would say that you would want to look for like book clubs. I feel like that would be a really good hobby for
art
you.
Classes.
Art classes. Yeah. Stuff that's going to get you structured time outside of the house that gives you people who you can connect with on that particular level that maybe isn't, and it doesn't have to be like a mom group. Maybe it's
it's almost a little lower pressure when you when you have that thing you're focused on. I think that's partly why moms become friends, because they can focus on their kids.
Yes.
Right. And so it gives you something outside of that where it lowers that stress of having to talk to strangers.
Yes.
When you have a commonality, when you're like, okay, we're going to talk about this book. And then that really helps to, I don't know, just break down that barrier and get over that fear. Right. I don't know. Yeah.
I agree with you. We talk about how like even motherhood is because motherhood's where we're at, right? Like that's where we're like, we heavily weigh how this is a really great point to do a transition for hobbies.
Yeah.
But the other, transition that we have that'll be very big is like retirement.
Yeah. That's a huge one for people.
That one's coming down the line. And like if you just even look at the retirement community, they've almost kind of figured out that that's the step, right? Is like once you retire, then that's when they start doing those hobbies that they've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And look how happy all those people are.
Yeah.
So
well, hopefully, right?
Oh, that's true.
But a lot of them, I feel like I do hear stories about that a lot. And then I think to even take it a step closer to where we're at, like I think about when our kids eventually go to college or whatever they do, move out of the house. That will be a big transition when our homes are quiet and we're like, okay. I think that we've both talked about that I don't want to be in a situation where I have nothing for myself.
No.
When I get to that point, because that will make it really sad. It'll be very difficult, and so trying to start building those skills now to figure out what you like to do, 'cause it can't be all about the kids all the time.
Right.
Yeah. So I think,
And it's just taking that time to make sure that you like schedule time for yourself, right? I think that we stress that, and I'll take the opportunity to stress it again, that it really does start with you personally putting that time on your schedule.
Definitely.
And it doesn't even have to be a whole lot of time. You can start with 10 minutes and then you can move to 20 minutes, like work your way up. Don't run off on a weekend vacation away from your family.
That's right.
It'll literally shock your system.
And you'll be like, I'm never doing another hobby again. I agree. I think, and to follow that, like if you have a partner, like having the conversation with them that like, hey, I need this time. I want to take this time. And even I think somebody gave it, or I know we had had a podcast guest where her advice was to offer the same amount of time for your spouse or your partner. Like I want 30 minutes a week and you can have 30 minutes a week as well. And like that's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. So something I kind of wanted to do is I cranked like into ChatGPT. I was like, give me hobbies that would help in different healing type ways,
great.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple just because I feel like that would help me. So if you're somebody who is wanting hobbies that are going to ground you, right? ChatGPT says you're going to want more like body and movement type hobbies. So yoga, walking, gardening, dancing, roller skating, which I was like, I should do roller skating.
Yeah.
Because I loved skateboarding, I wanted to do roller skating. So that helped me. Because you want to find hobbies that are going to just kind of help you reconnect with your body after burnout, right? What if you're somebody who's got some like inner child healing that you kind of want to go to? Try to look for nostalgia hobbies. Like for me personally, when I went through Polly Pockets, which I'm still very deep in, by the way, finding Polly Pocket was a hobby that like a collection hobby that really helped me. So, you know, visit maybe some hobbies that you had as a kid. Maybe it was collecting a toy, or maybe it was skateboarding, or maybe it was drawing. Try to go back to those. If you're looking for hobbies that are going to help restore you after burnout, look for those warning signs of burnout, right?
Yeah.
What are those warning signs? Those are going to be you're having trouble sleeping, you're starting to find yourself more tense than normal. You're starting to be short with people, seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah, stress.
You're finding that your schedule doesn't really have any time for you. Those are going to be like your warning signs. You're going to want to look for hobbies that are going to reset you. So like maybe it's purely just reserving 10 minutes at the end of the day to just sit outside and just enjoy the nice weather this spring. Or maybe it's you just want to pick up a book and just start reading a book for just a little bit of quiet time. Or maybe it's you just want to drink a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's what you're going to want to do. We talked about community. Like if you were wanting to heal through community, you're going to want to look for types of hobbies that are going to be outside the home. So, you know, joining a class or joining going into like a crocheting group, right? Anything like that. If you're wanting some stillness in your life, you're going to want to look for hobbies that are going to slow you down. So like hand stitching would be a good one, punch needling or watercoloring. I tried watercoloring. Yeah. That one's really fun.
Did you try punch needling too?
I did try punch needling.
It wasn't a very
Well, it ended up being more June's hobby.
Yeah.
It's a very satisfying hobby. It just wasn't one that I was like, this is what I'll do forever. But I think it's June's for sure.
I did the puzzling. I thought that was a good one. Puzzles for
you were really
calming.
good at that one. That one's very calming. But I think, you know, those give you an idea of like how you can use hobbies in literally any problem that you have in your life or any transition that you're going through. You can use a hobby as a positive outlet to kind of put you in the next right step to resetting and getting you back to either who you want to be or to explore opportunities and maybe seeing who maybe you could be.
Right.
Like maybe there's something of interest that you would want there.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't know that I was somebody who would be more into social type hobbies until I started pushing myself to try those things. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe I do like it in groups better.
No, I mean, I could have predicted that, but I love that you shared all those ideas. That's really helpful just to have some other new ideas and just to kind of think about that.
Yeah.
So I think too, it comes like that when you think about sometimes when you're in a bad headspace, it's hard to get out of that, right? And sometimes you don't want to do it. You just want to like wallow in your
you do want to be
in your misery.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's okay for a little while, but we've come to realize that once you start doing these hobbies and making them, even if it's just a little bit, it is kind of crazy how it retrains your brain to pull yourself out of those situations easier. You know, I feel like I used to get in I don't know. You go in like a tailspin, you know, and you could have a whole day where it's just you like wrecked your whole day because of your stress and anxiety. And I just don't have that as much as I used to.
That's
way
great.
less. And so I guess just knowing that there is a way out, there's light at the end of the tunnel, but you do have to prioritize it. And you don't think that it's going to help you, but it really does change your brain chemistry. I think it's almost meditative or it just stops your mind from going down those spirals of stress.
Absolutely.
And those negative thoughts to just have something else that's totally low, I don't know, just low stress, low commitment, low productivity. It really helps pull you out of whatever problem you're going through.
I agree with you. Yeah. I think you said it great. And I think just having like some, like you said, the easier word is it really does help you. It gives you a skill set that helps you kind of already have some forms to help you get out the emotion that you're feeling, right? It helps you kind of work through it independently. And I'll admit, I don't think I had those skill sets prior to being a mom. You know, I think I just was like head down working, and I just pushed forward. It was constantly uphill, right? Well, I think now that I'm in this sector where I am embracing hobbies and embracing hobbies of all forms, you're right. Like I can see how previous me could find it so easy to just sit and wallow in, you know, my sadness or my whatever, you know, brooding emotion I was feeling. And now I do find time to just kind of sit and feel pitiful sometimes. Like you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's also nice that like I find myself doing that in smaller increments, because after a while I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of boring. I guess I can move on.
And I think too, like having other things to think about, you just don't get to that place as easily. You know, I don't know. I think before it was like if something stressful would happen at work, I would ruminate over it like all night and all day or all weekend, you know, and that would just ruin my weekend. And I feel like now I have these other things to just think about, to plan for, to like focus on. And so I just don't get in that ruminating, like, you know, spin of like brain in my brain. I don't know. So
and I'm sure that you probably when you're practicing your piano, do you notice on days where you're feeling more frustrated, you're more like slinging on the keys? Because like maybe even that's like a form of therapy, right? Like I'm sure the hobby's helping you work out that anger. And
I
you're
definitely
like, this Beethoven.
I don't do it with piano, but I do with exercise. Like sometimes if I'm feeling a little more, I might like lift heavier weights or just be like, you know, just go a little harder on the cardio machine. So there's definitely, I when I do it with my body, I feel like that really does help me.
So see, there you go.
So that's my thing. That's my outlet, definitely.
I love it.
For those kind of negative emotions.
I think it's a great tool. I think I really am hard pressed to figure out a negative to hobbies. I just feel like it's a great way for us as humans to just be more adaptable, be more comfortable with expressing ourselves, be more comfortable with trying things and experimenting and walk away. It's just practice and it just translates in every aspect of your life. And it's so nice that hobbies give you like a practice round. It gives you this practice round to try out like real life skills.
Definitely.
You don't even realize, but you're practicing real life skills that you can literally then take into those other scenarios that are you know, interactions that you have with your peers.
Connecting with other people. Absolutely.
And it gives you the tools to do it in a mature, like professional, more accepting way, because you're more willing to hear other ideas, because you're more open to creativity. You're more open to hearing, learning other ways to do things because you've been practicing it for so long. So hobbies are really great step for healing is what we're saying here. Hobbies are a great way to heal.
And with that, thank you for joining us today on The Art of Hobbiness. We love hobbies and we hope you do too. Please join us next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Hobbiness. Be sure to leave a review and rating. And for a little extra Erin and Tam fun, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Pinterest for behind-the-scenes footage of our journey to find hobbiness.